Hey everybody, my name's Roman Casciano and I'm here with my colleagues from the Certara Evidence and Access team. And I like to talk to you all about Market Access Radar and share some of the experiences that we have as an organization using Market Access Radar. Just a couple of quick words about Market Access Radar. It's an internal tool that we've been using for coming on 10 years now, and it's something that many of us in Certara wake up in the morning with, and have our report running in the background, and it sort of gives us the daily information that we need to know about what's going on in market access space, and is also serves as a deep database of market access decisions, regulatory decisions, and these other sorts of important information for us as a team. So after 10 years of using Market Access Radar internally, we're making it available outside, and I wanted to bring my colleagues together to talk about how we're actually using it on a day-to-day basis, to just give a flavor for the potential applications of it for the others that will now be able to use it. Maybe I can share my screen. Let's see. Elvira Pascaline, you're seeing my daily report from Radar?
We do.
Yes, sure.
Okay, good. All right, so maybe just quickly I'll dive in, and I'll show you both how I'm using it, and then maybe I'll pass it over to you each, and you can do the same. So this is what I get in my inbox in the morning. I have some custom reports set up. But I have, for example, some interest in oncology. I'm working in that space. And then there's the basic daily report. Something catches my eye, I click it open, and it brings me into my dashboard. So, this is kind of what I'm seeing. I've got a few things going on. On the left side is the daily brief that comes through, and I can click all of these links. Like if I want to go in to see what was going on with this situation in Ireland, they're basically saying that there was a full HTA recommended for lenvatinib in combination with pembro, and I can dig into that a little deeper if I like. And then over here on the right side, I have sort of tags for Germany. Any reimbursement updates that are in this market access catalyst window, and these are just generally things that I like to use to let's say tickle my interest and see if there's anything. Nothing actually happened with Germany today. I mean, Elvira, you probably have the same tag in your setup,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, this is kind of my sort of starting point. Sometimes, I'll go in. I have got some personal filters that are set up, like so that I can just do custom and dig in on, say, oncology, which is obviously an area where I'm working a lot in. And today there's a recommendation for a full HTA of lenvatinib. As I think I just clicked on that one a few moments ago. It's the same record, but nonetheless, like this is essentially my filtering process. But I will say there's also like very often I'm using it in the context of my projects, where like a few weeks ago we got a request from a customer, and I sort of read that request. It was, Roman, I hope all is well. I was wondering if Certara could help with a project to figure out in which countries tepotinib and camimatinib are currently being reimbursed. If yes, we're looking for approval dates, whether they were conditional or not, approved indication, and then there's some nice to have information like name of the pivotal study on which it was based. Was their approval based on ORR? Do you have any data on that? So, you know, they're asking for a project. But usually what I would do is I would just go into Radar and do a search in the records, and there's this cool little, I mean, I guess you're using this too, but there's this nice little searching function, and I just go in and I search for, let's see, it's tepotinib and capmatinib, right? There it is. And so first only one record comes up, but this because I have both of them listed. This is an AND function, so I click that and I make it an OR function, and there's 34 records. So when this request came in, I did this quick filtering, and I wanted to see what else was going on, and you get all the feed of all the things that have happened with these two compounds. I can export that result to Excel. And are you seeing that? It's opening on, you seeing the Excel open?
Yeah.
Great. And then now I have this like summary of all of the activity that's happened for these two compounds. And, you know, systematically within about an hour, I went through each of these links and was able to provide the client with a quick summary, not a project, but literally in about an hour, hour and a half, I was able to provide the client with a quick summary of all of the history. And the history in the database goes back many years. In this case, the story with these products only seems to go back to 2019. But nonetheless, we've been doing this for over 10 years. So, you know, you can really look at that sort of trajectory. This is kind of typical for me and how I'm using Radar. You know, and like I said, the nice part about this is that, you know, you get these links, and I can go right back to the source documents. Should be opening up on the screen. Like in this case, it was the benefit assessment for tepotinib. And I have it all handy, and all the details that I need. You know, what was the appropriate comparator that was assessed, and when they made their original opinions and so on. So, you know, I'm wondering if this is typical of how you're using it. I know Pascaline, if I'm not mistaken, you had done something a little bit more, let's say, systematic and organized. I'm just sort of jumping around a little bit, but definitely would love to hear about that. And by the way, I think I neglected to introduce you, so maybe just a word or two before you get started about who you are. But you know, looking forward to hearing, you know, how you're using Radar.
Sure. Thank you, Roman. Hi. Access at Certara, specialized in the EU market. Well, I definitely use Radar as you do, Roman, every day. I'm looking at my feeds and see what's happening there, especially when I'm working on different projects and different therapeutic areas. But we've done also something recently for one of our clients, and hopefully you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
yep.
Right. Because what you've shown is ad hoc research for information, but what we can also do is some continuous monitoring of information. So one of our mid-size pharmaceutical company client was looking for continuous information on the product and on competitive landscape because it's a mid-size company, they have little resources and time to be able to monitor information out there. And they were looking across the globe. So I've seen also on your feeds that you are focused a lot on US and EU, but actually with Radar, we can go beyond. We have a global scope. So the client was especially interested in some region like Central Europe, CIS or Baltic, for instance. So radar, market access radar allows to look at this information in those regions. So what we did is some targeted monitoring of information they were looking for, especially market access and regulatory data. And we also coupled this research with non-public information gathered by local market access experts in those countries. And that allowed us to provide the client monthly update so that they know on a continuous basis what's happening in the area of interest. And we summarize that through a monthly report. So how we did it, we selected the geographical scope of interest for the client. As I said, they were interested more in the Central Europe region, CIS and Baltics. And we do have in market access radar sources in those regions. So we identified the right sources of information for them. And we identified also what were the key questions they wanted answers for. So whether the product is registered, is it reimbursed, in which condition, etc. And based on that, we were able to deliver to them a preliminary report answering all those questions to show them where the product is registered, reimbursed, on which condition, and whether also a price is available. So that's what they got initially. And then on a monthly basis, as I said earlier, we looked for new information, and we also contacted local experts in the markets of interest to know whether anything that is not publicly available that the expert would know about. So the client received every month on each of the countries that they were interested in, whether new data was available. And you see, for instance, in this case, that there was new data available for some countries like Bulgaria, Croatia, or Turkey. So in the monthly update, they get also the report highlighting what's the new information. So in the case here of Turkey, for instance, we could show them that since last month, there has been some news for the product in terms of the reimbursement status of the product. So that's something that they can get every month for all the countries that they were interested in. So they don't have to look and search for information online. They get everything directly on their in their emails.
So Pascaline, there's like, it sounds to me like there's sort of a part automated process that's been set up, like regular, pulling the reports. But you mentioned the local our local partners that you're reaching out to. So what's the workflow look like? They get the reports, and then we're asking them to comment on certain ones, or if they have like the inside scoop, if you will, on what happened. Like, how is the process running?
So the experts are former HTA experts in the local country, and we ask them whether they are aware of any news on this specific product or therapeutic area, because we are interested also in the competitive landscape. And they provide us with a confirmation or maybe additional sources of information, new data.
I see. So the radar provides like the catalyst, and then we're digging deeper.
Yeah.
I can think of at least 3 or 4 other situations where that might be useful. So we have to talk about that. Can you just comment a little bit on because you've obviously been encouraging that, hey, as a somewhat of a newer person to Certara, this thing is a gold mine. We should be offering this to our customers. I mean, and the perspective that you have about that, like, helped drive us towards the decision to make it available. Can you just comment on that? Like, what do you find that's brought you to that conclusion?
Well, because as you know, I was part of Merck MSD for some time, and before that Baxter. And even though those are big pharma company, we didn't have this kind of information in our mailbox. I mean, we did have some general information, but not tailored to exactly what we wanted to see. I was working for vaccines for 4 years, and I didn't have a specific vaccines related information coming to me. So I think that's why Radar is valuable, because it's customizable to exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, that's really a nice feature that I love about it. I mean, I didn't show it when I had the window open, but maybe you haven't even noticed this, but in the calendar picture on the top, like if one of your tags hits, it underlines the date. So you actually know when there was a day when this happened. And I think that's the thing I've always found really useful, is that sort of sequential nature of it. You know, you may use, there's a feature there that shows show related records, so you can kind of get the history. But I understand to that point about that sort of timeline element, that Elvira, this is something that you've been grabbing onto. I know our clients are often asking, it's not just about like what was the final condition, the process of getting there is interesting. Like, oh, the company submitted interim data and they got a provisional approval, or they got rejected, and then a year later they were able to submit new data. Like, how did you execute on that, Elvira?
Yeah, actually, that is one aspect that you mentioned, that you can look at one drug and follow it either backwards in market access reader and then follow it over time. But what you can also do, and that was also a request from our client, is to follow a whole disease area where you have a fast changing environment, additional drugs coming out, your competitors, or to see how did they evolve over time in the past, how were the regulatory and reimbursement decisions. And the nice thing is, and I'm not sure if you're aware of that, we have an additional advanced analytical tool available on request, where you can put together this information in a very nice and visual way for the client, not just an Excel sheet with all the decisions where he has to walk through, but really have it what we call internally a snake over the of the time zone, and you see when was a decision made, and you can easily refer it to countries, to the decision, and then even reach out to the underlying reference. And I would like to show it to you if you don't mind.
Please, yeah.
And let's see if you can see my screen now. And just a second. Yeah, well. So do you see the market access radar now?
Yep.
Wonderful. And apart from the standard feature, as I said, it's a dedicated feature, and we had a recent case where we did this, what I just mentioned, to develop a view over time in multiple myeloma.
One of my interests.
Yeah. See, good that we talk. And what you hopefully see now is a lot of flags from various countries. The disease, multiple myeloma. We didn't indicate any specific drug here because we are interested what treatments are available and where. And currently we have selected 2 countries, the UK and the US. And you see in this view, it starts actually this year, and you have a positive approval in the UK. You have all the negative decision in the UK, and it goes all the way down up to now. There was a regulatory approval this year in the US. Now, if I compress this further, you see we can go back again to some, in this case, it's up to 19, and you can see all the developments of the various treatments and the licenses over the time. If I select a few more countries to show you, for example, also France and Germany, you get a view like this. And what's really nice is that you get either a green thumbs up, which says to you, okay, this was a positive decision, or a red thumb down, which was not a recommendation. And if you want to go to the underlying source document, you can click on it and find, for example, an early access decision, in that case, a regulatory decision for one treatment. And for all the guidances, you can access the underlying source document directly, but also see it very easily on the way down where in the time frame it popped up. And as said, you can, in addition, what I have done, you can also select for specific drugs, reducing it just to one where daratumumab is involved, for example, or you can see what all drugs that are available. And it's not just a selection of the information requested, but it's something you can really use steadily for various purposes, and use in a very nice way to your individual presentations.
So basically, I've been building these manually, not knowing how to use this function. I need to take the tutorial again, because the example I gave before, at the end of the day, this is basically what I created. It was a much smaller category, like multiple myeloma. There's so many decisions and all that. I mean, it helps to really look at it this way. But in that other one, there was only, I think, 20 or 30 records. But I can imagine this is really helpful when you have a very complex disease area with lots of different sub-indications and all of that. So that's great. I love the thumbs up and thumbs down. I hadn't seen that before. So.
Yeah. So you did the first step, and this is then the next step to really, as you said, in a fast changing and with lots of treatments and subcategories. I really like it, and the client was also very happy to get this kind of presentation.
That's great. That's great. Do you have any, other special things you do with Radar, or you just do it like Pascaline and I were describing? You have a daily report set up with your own tags and so on?
Yes, we have a daily report. As I said, I'm following all the HTA developments that are going out. And of course, when we look for analogs for a certain assessment, create individual reports for specific drug, and have the information really fast, instead of going from HTA body from one to another, or searching the internet. What was the rationale behind specific decisions? How did they look at the endpoints, etc.? So that is very helpful.
I had one client ask me how is it different from Google, and then I said, well, let me just show you, and yeah, it really gets rid of a lot of the junk. And to be clear, one thing that's important, we're not just using like tags that are created out there in the space, in the ether. Every day when these things come across, our team is manually putting tags on the news items. That's what makes it so precise, because you can use Google and it's just going to pick up on things that are in the article or what have you, and you're going to miss stuff, or most importantly, you're going to get a lot of junk in there with it. But the best part about this is that the team has been for 10 years tagging these news feeds. So we know, it was a reimbursement decision. It was a positive decision. It was a negative decision. That's where those thumbs ups and thumbs down come from. But
No, but
I mean,
also because
yeah.
the data is in local language in all countries, and you and I, well, you mostly, but don't speak. You don't speak foreign languages, so you know you
Je
need to
parle
do a
peu
search.
français.
You need to do a search on Google in I don't know, in Turkish, or it's
Yeah.
really hard, right? So
Yeah.
the tool does it for you, and translate the newsfeed is in English, so at least you have the newsfeed in English, and then you can go back to the native
Great point.
source in the local language.
Great point. You were going to say something, Elvira?
Yeah, let alone the time. I mean, you have one source, you access it, and you get the tailored information instead of then doing lots of these individually.
Yeah, that for sure is a huge saver, and it doesn't automate away the need to bring insights. I mean, you have to like read what people said about in the appraisal, or why they didn't buy into the particular evidence. So it doesn't eliminate that, but it gets rid of all that other stuff that takes so much time, so you can get to the meat of what you want to be working on, which is the fun part, the insights. So anyway. Anything else to say from you both to new people who might be, considering using radar?
No, try it.
Try it, you'll
Actually, I
like it.
don't
And Roman can give you a training. So yeah.
And I don't want to miss it. Actually, it's really helpful in the daily work.
Great. Well, there you have it. I hope that people give it a shot. It will be really helpful in your day to day. It'll keep you sort of up to speed. I know there's lots of kind of news feeds, but this is like giving you that, but it's also the database part that's so important and so helpful. Like, you can get a news clip, but have no idea of how many other previous things it was related to, and radar just like connects all of the dots for you. So that's been really helpful for us internally, and some of the team would basically say, I don't know how I would live without it, but I'm using it a bit just to keep myself up to speed. I hope others do too. So thanks very much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.